In this lesson, we're going to be adding filters to My Library Report. The purpose of filters is to reduce the size of the dataset so that you can interrogate the data further. It ensures that users only see the data that they need. And in doing so, it reduces the cognitive load. Overall, filters enhance the user experience of your Power BI report. And in this video, we're going to be adding and configuring report filters. Report filters are predominantly in the build report stage of our Power BI report creation. We've already seen a filter applied to a page. And in this video, we're going to be using slicer visuals. In more advanced scenarios, you would use row-level security to filter data in your data model, and in the Power BI service, you would assign roles to users in your organization to control what they get to see. Let's move over to the exercise and start using filters. I'm in my Power BI report on my landing page. I'm going to collapse the visualizations and the data. And I'm going to move to the Current Loans tab. I can see that I have 9 total loans and 3 overdue loans, but I'd like a filter which only shows me the overdue loans. In order to do that, I'll need to open the Visualizations pane and the Data pane. I can select on some space here, and I can bring in a slicer visual. Drag it across, and bring it to the top. I can now search for the overdue field, and it's the PU is overdue field, and I can drag it in here. I can rename this is overdue. And if I now select true, it's going to filter down to the 3 books that are overdue. I can go to the settings for this visual, go to the slicer settings, onto the selection, and show a select all, and also deselect the multi-select with control. This means I can now select false, or select all, or deselect all of them. And this is helpful in those scenarios where you have many choices. Let's add in a numbers-based filter to do with the days overdue. I'm going to select on the visual. I'm going to Control-C and Control-V to copy and paste it. Move it across, and I'm going to drag the days overdue, and I'll drag it into the field well for that. I'm going to remove the is overdue. And instead of having the selections as shown here, I'm actually going to change the options and go on to the slicer settings. And instead of it being a vertical list, I'm going to make it greater than or equal to. I can now drag the slider across, and I can see less overdue loans or more overdue loans. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to select on the table visual, Control-C. I'm going to create a new page, and we're going to give it a name, and we're going to call it Testing Filters. I'm going to select on the page and paste it in. And we can see all of the loans for all of the periods. So let's try and add a filter for dates. Select on some white space at the top. Select on the slicer option. Resize it. And then using the date dimension, we'll drag in the date into the field here. With date filters, we have additional options. Let's go on to the formatting, slicer settings, hit the drop down for options, and we'll go for relative date. Then we can say the last 3, and then select the drop down, and we could say months. And if we want to enhance this further, we could take some visuals we've already created, select on Students Review, take in the total loans by school year, Control C, and then go onto the testing filters and then select Control V. We can then resize that. And this isn't surprising because we're only looking at a single school year. We can then hit the expand down one level in the hierarchy, and we can see all of the months which we've got loans for. Note that it's slightly more than 3 months, and that's because it's looking at today's date. We can change that by selecting 3 months and then a calendar. And this tells us about the previous 3 months because January isn't yet complete. And this brings us to the end of the lesson on filters. In this video, we've seen how simple it is to bring filters into your library report, but also that it's really important to configure them correctly for your use case. I'll see you in the next video.